of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Tristero, Chapter 10. There were worse beginnings. Their Sunday morning had been pretty quiet, and not that they were complaining per se, but... Ah! I'm so bored! Hisashi! He chuckled, his form leisurely gliding beside him as they aimlessly wandered around their patrol route. Come on, man, we're meant to stay alert. For what? The blonde muttered dejectedly, his hands picking up a can from the road and flinging it into a nearby virtually overflowing trash can. Even our agency usually sees some action, he sighed. And it's not as though I'm ungrateful for the respite, he mused. It's just, what good are we doing by, what did his purple honest call it, being seen in the hood? Well, Oboro replied with a grin, we could always go visit our favorite grumpy guy, couldn't we? Ah! Now you're talking! The emerald-eyed man snickered. Let's go! Laughing together, the white-haired man offered his hand and pulled the slightly lither man onto his nimbus and flew them up above the residential district and towards the older part of the area they protected, their smiles wide as they waved at the few people watching them from windows because being positive was important, and ventured nearer their destination. Huh? The voice quirk user blinked. Oh yeah, he teaches self-defense or something, doesn't he? Sure looks like it. Wow, is it me or is he hotter than usual? You're an despicable man, Hisashi chuckled while mildly punching the other's suede-jacketed shoulder. But, you're right. Damn, who'd have thought he was adding a body like that under those baggy clothes? Humming thoughtfully, the sun-kissed brawler sneaked another glance at the gruff, yet incredibly helpful, thoughtful, and talented man. He was wearing relatively loose charcoal sweatpants, but starched over his admittedly fantastic top half was a black tank top which showed off and defined every muscle just right. His creamy, muscle-slacked arms were totally bare, and his long locks now hung from a high ponytail, his artful bangs glossy and free. Hey! Looking good, kiddos! Smiling at his best friend, Oboro dispersed his cloud as they made their approach on the wider-than-average walkway, whilst the children cheered and ran towards them. The cafe owner and his teenage protege, however, didn't look too pleased by their intrusion. Ma! Aizawa Shouta, nice to see ya! The slightly shorter blonde continued obliviously. Mike! He tried, a few red flags waving in the back of his mind at the glower the teacher was sending their way. Oh man, not good. Mike! Hey, yeah! Who wants an autograph? I think they'd prefer a demonstration. Owlishly looking from the now smirking teen, his unusual hand swirling the drink he held with subtle rotations of his wrist to the raven-haired, barefooted instructor. His face had now grown a progressively more interested smirk. Oboro felt like he was watching a car crash in slow motion. Ah! His friend blinked up from where he'd been happily fussing over the children cloistered around his legs. Demonstration? He repeated, before looking to the muscle-corded cafe owner. My, come on now. As a pro, I'm supposed to protect citizens, not attack them. You think you can beat me? Feeling more red flags started to wave at the back of his mind, alongside an excited voice chanting, Fight! At the narrowing of Aizawa's gaze, he went to stop his friend from saying anything stupid. Well, I am a fully licensed hero, you know, and no disrespect, cook-son, but I don't think it'll be a fair fight, sorry. 1 second too late. Cook-son? Ooh, was there a darkening aura roiling around the eatery owner? Mike? He tried, his hands raising in surrender as the kids oohed and went only children on the playground before a scuffle broke out again. I think he should apologize. I think he should put his money where his mouth is. The other cafe worker chuckled, his eyes alight with challenge. Come on now, hero. These little guys want to see what their sensei could do, he pushed. It's only right that you help to inspire young hearts and minds, isn't it? Sighing, because the kids were now literally buzzing with excitement, and if he was being honest, he was pretty pumped to see the match himself. Oboro sniggered a little. I don't think you're going to get out of this one, bro. He giggled, the children now pooling around him and calling their agreement. The blonde and black-haired boy seemed extra pumped. Oh, well, okay, Hisashi shrugged while shucking off his jacket. No quirks, though. he said whilst wagging a gloved finger. Aizawa-sensei won't need his quirk to kick your shiny ass, the crimson-eyed child declared amidst a roar of tears. The tots now animated and jumping around in glee, looking at that dark gaze and confident expression worn by the teacher before turning to the voice quirk user, who was mockingly stood like a boxer and throwing punches. Obara was more inclined to believe that the elementary students were right. Pulling the astroturf away from the marquee and onto the wide square which ran alongside his cafe and towards the apartment complexes, Shouta had allowed the kids to grab chairs along with snacks, which the blue-eyed hero had begged a few of, whatever they needed to be eaten, and sit ringside. Then after a few stretches, not that he personally needed it, but he wanted his students to see the benefit of them, he rolled his neck and took a deep breath. Let's set some ground rules, he mused. Are you okay with best of 3 bouts, or whomever draws first blood wins? Isn't that, a little harsh? The blonde bolted through a forced laugh. I thought this was going to be, a demonstration. Do villains give you such quarter when you're fighting them? He asked. These children, for the majority, are considering your profession. He furthered, as young as they are, they should be under no illusions about the nature of these things. Wouldn't you agree? Well, yeah, but... No buts. He shrugged. This is your last chance to back out. Ha! Shouldn't that be my line? President Mike tried to laugh, his hands whipping around. God, you could get dizzy if you look too long at all of his wild, illogical gesticulations. They don't just hand out procure licenses at UA, UA? Oh, he asked, his thumb bored, whilst many of the children gasped in awe. That's the school which rewards people with flashy quirks and kicks other applicants into general studies, isn't it? He mused with a shrug, his words quieting the students. Shouldn't hero license be given to people through merit and their quirks? Yeah, well, that's what the school is for, to bring out the best in... The people deemed worthy to fill just 40 seats a year. He cut in, his eyes rolling. So are we doing this, or is your plan to bore me into submitting? Oh, fine, okay, let's run back, son. Snorting, he began to circle the other, his eyes taking in his stature. President Mike was an inch or two taller, roughly the same weight, not quite as muscular. Yes, from the looks of things, this was a hero whom relied on his voice to blast his opponents away, clear debris, and whatnot. From how he was throwing his punches, he may have some training, but not enough. He left himself wide open in several places. He was favoring his right shoulder, an injury, and the boots he wore were made for stomping, not kicking. Okay, enough of this dancing around with... Whoa! Allowing the egotistic hero, who'd clearly underestimated him, which he understood, he wasn't a hero, he dedicated himself to his craft for other reasons, to rush. Allowing the egotistical hero to rush him, Shouta easily sidestepped him at the last minute and plowed his right hook into the other's diaphragm. Then, seizing his advantage, he slammed a roundhouse kick, not quite as hard, around the side of the blonde's head, launching him a few feet away before he crashed into the floor. Holy crow! That was amazing! Dude, did you see that? Aizawa-sensei, you're incredible! Holy shit! Watching as the hero rasped into the floor, Shouta rolled his shoulders. Do you yield? Oh, like hell, I do! He wheezed while getting up. I thought we said no quirks! He accused. You didn't use his. Davy called his shitting grin turning into a scowl. Are you trying to say he cheated? That's not very plus ultra of you, is it? He huffed from where he sat, Hitoshi and Katsuki glaring from either side of him. Staggering to his feet with a huff, the Jade-Eye man held his glasses out for a bewildered cloud quirk user to take, his hand waving him off when the broader man went to talk to him. I'm not meaning to insult you, he tried, his smile returning. I'm surprised, is all, he stated, while dusting himself off. And I've never seen you use your quirk, so... Arms folded, eyes blazing blood red, he watched dispassionately as the pro grabbed at his throat, his eyebrows reaching for that ridiculous hairstyle. This is my quirk, he stated, his ponytail straining against the force of it. Now, shall we continue? Swallowing thickly, his face becoming decidedly more serious, he allowed the other to come at him again. For all the good it did do him, this is why he'd look down on such hero schools. Reliance on your power and your power alone wasn't only illogical, but arrogant. Dodging his wide swing, clumsy movements were easy. Another mistake that most brawlers made was that overpowering your opponent was the quickest and best way to win. This, he knew, was short-sighted at best and deadly at worst. Hold still, you fire! Tripping him up with a well-placed kick to the ankle, and then child's play thanks to the other's momentum, and like a sack of flailing potatoes, down he went. It was a shame, really. He might have potential. He looked strong. A punch would definitely hurt if it connected. But a lesson in humility was probably better for him at this point. Ding, ding, ding! Ochako called delightedly. Aizawa says he wins! Waving all of the children, except Hitoshi and Denki, goodbye, the blonde had asked if he could stay and play video games with his new super cool best bud. His parents had confirmed it was okay, and the iris-haired boy had been delighted. How could he say no? Shouta allowed Loud Cloud to help Dabi take down the marquee whilst he saw to President Mike. Sat in the cafe, an ice pack on his sprained ankle, he'd admitted that he was hamming it up for the free cake and had genuinely praised his skills and thanked him for helping his wrongfully prejudiced ass off of the floor where it belonged. Was the younger of the two heroes, his voice loudly cheering the boys as their avatars faced off a dragon. It had been great to see the kids so enthusiastic. Better still, Katsuki hadn't commented on Izuku eagerly asking the Cloud Quirk user very insightful questions and had instead allowed Eijiro to preen around him as they talked about their own powers and the kind of hero they wanted to be whilst walking home together. Similarly, Tsuyu and Ochako were helping to bring the best out in each other, and the green-haired boy who was becoming progressively happier and more hopeful about his future. They were all going back to his apartment, where Inko was going to treat them to a movie marathon and treats after training so hard. We've packed everything away, Aizawa-san. Inclining his head at the sun-kissed man, he waved them next to where his teammate was sat and gave him a bowl of yakisoba as he passed, whilst offering the same to Dabi, who took it with a pout. Bankruptcy, he muttered before. Oi, kid, you need to watch out for the ogre in that cave over there. He'll take all of your gems if you're not careful. All in all, there were worse beginnings, weren't there?